the most wrong assumption is that AI can create the courses for you. We built effectively our first learning management system back in 1999, more than 25 years ago. In the era of AI, content becomes a commodity. What you cannot afford to jeopardize as a course creator is your own personal brand, your own connection with the students, your own thought leadership position. If somebody uses AI in a basic way, sloppy way, just getting some prompt engineering to avoid to have to write some content, they're probably doing a disservice to the courses, to their own brand, and to their students.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Selling Online Courses. We're here to share winning strategies and secret hacks from top performers in the online course industry. My name is John Ainsworth and today's guest is Panos Siozos. Now, he is CEO at LearnWorlds, and what Panos believes is that learning is our true superpower, the one that multiplies progress. And what he did along with his co-founders is he built LearnWorlds to give solo creators, customer educators, enterprise learning and development teams, whoever's building their courses, these tools that turn text and video study into interactive, social, and above all, effective learning. Now, today, LearnWorlds is powering over 11,000 customers worldwide. It's generated over $1 billion in sales. And Panos holds a PhD in educational technology from the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, I might have said that wrong, in Greece. So we're going to be talking a lot about AI today and about how you can be using AI in order to improve your courses. We'll get into why LearnWorlds is what's different about them as well. Panos, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
So talk us through what are some of the things that people believe about AI and courses that you think is wrong.
I guess the most wrong assumption is that AI can create the courses for you. Okay. Yes, it can help you be productive. It can help you transform content from one form to another, repurpose it and everything else. But that's not what AI should be used for. Our perception of AI and how we bring AI at the service of our customers, the content creators and the instructional designers, is for AI to be their copilot, so they can curate experiences. They can get AI to do some of the most boring stuff, get the grunt work away from them, so they can focus on what they're truly best at. In the era of AI, content becomes a commodity. So content is not really the most important thing. You can have AI write some bloat, some slop for you, and it will most probably do. But what you cannot afford to jeopardize as a course creator is your own personal brand, your own connection with the students, your own thought leadership position, you being the trusted guide that people need as they learn something, so that you can help them through this transformative experience. So if somebody uses AI in a basic way, sloppy way, just getting some prompt engineering to avoid to have to write some content, they're probably doing a disservice to the courses, to their own brand, and to their students.
Okay, so let me see if I've understood. So you think if people are using AI to help write the content, then it's probably doing them a disservice, probably not helping them to build that personal brand. And you said that AI can be used to help to curate the experience and as a co-pilot. Can you expand on that a little bit for me? Because I'm not totally sure I understand what you mean.
In the way, for example, that we brought in AI within LearnWorlds, I can tell you about our own experience. So when we first started, everybody was experimenting with prompt engineering. We've seen so many platforms out there and tools that really bolted AI in some way, and it makes you feel productive. You can write just a quick prompt and you can get some pretty impressive chunks of text, but this undervalues what a teacher does. What's the purpose of somebody who guides you through a transformative experience? Just getting the content, it's easy. People can get all sorts of content. They can go out to Wikipedia, they can go to YouTube, but what the course should be about should be a directed experience, a series of different events, a series of different interactions, which in some cases it might involve content, in some cases it might involve real discussions and communication that get students from point A to point B. That's also the etymology of a course. It's kind of the path. You need the guide to help you start from one point and get to the next. So increasingly, we see platforms that help people create a basic course, but we also see that the output of all these experiences, it's quite similar. It's just, there might be slightly more prompting or less prompting, more effective or less effective, but the output is definitely not transformational, and it's something that will end up in courses that have zero value. There is zero perception of value, and people will not keep paying. I can draw a parallel here between what was happening with ebooks. Ebooks, like online courses, are the ebooks of 2025 and 2030.
Yeah.
20 years ago, everybody wanted to become a published author. Everybody wanted to have their face listed as an author in Amazon or somewhere. And then, you started having all this bloatware, all these copy-paste things that were adding zero values. As a channel, it was devalued by the slop and the bad content that was out there. I believe that we should make an effort, and all course creators should make an effort to avoid this. So definitely you can get AI assistants to be more productive, to transform your content. But what is your added value as an instructor? Where do you see it? How do you analyze what are the needs of your students? How do you plan and direct experiences for them? How do you hyper-personalize the content to the different learning styles of your users, whether they are visual learners or they are tactile learners, or they learn by examples, or they learn by apprenticeship? So the content, it's going to be increasingly more and more of a commodity, and the added value would be the instructional design and this guidance and curation of experiences for your students. This is something that AI might follow at some point and catch up, but for now, this personal brand and this personal direction and involvement of the teacher is still the most important thing that we can do.
Okay, so what have you been able to do over at LearnWorlds to then help with? Then are you using? Because it says your headline on your website is the #1 AI-powered learning management system built for course creators. So where have you found that the AI can help with that? What bits is it useful for?
Just to give you an example, because definitely we think about the productivity of our customers and how they can be creative themselves. We have embedded AI with some very smart prompt engineering and embedding instructional design principles within our ebook editor, which means that yes, you can start with some basic text, but with the help of AI, using AI as a co-pilot and getting some nice responses from it, you can repurpose your content. You can create a Socratic dialogue. Now that we were talking about Greeks and the Aristotle University, and let's go to another philosopher, Socrates. So a Socratic dialogue is probably the #1 instructional design method that was ever recorded in human history, where you lead your students to knowledge themselves. So you are asking the questions, and they respond to your questions, and then they get to the learning. They discover the learning themselves. So you can get a very basic material piece of content, and you can transform it in numerous ways, to a Socratic dialogue, to a role play, to something humorous. You can get a basic event and transform it into transpose it into different pieces, different periods of history or anything else. So you have tremendous variability in the kind of content you can create. I can give you another example, again, that is very, very productive. You want to create an assessment. One of the most boring stuff for course creators is to have to create multiple choice questions. It's like a dreadful task. With our AI Copilot, you can drop your text within our editor, and you can ask our AI to create for you 100 questions of varying difficulty based on the Bloom taxonomy. And so now, very easily, within a few minutes, you have all these 100 questions. And then you give out these questions in a test to 200 students. Is it possible for any teacher these days to provide individual personalized feedback to 200 students based on what they have answered in 100 different questions? It's impossible. This doesn't scale up. With AI, you can scale it up, because our AI can provide personalized feedback to all those students for every one of their correct or erroneous answers, and point them to where the correct facts or where the correct answers might be found in the original text. So the level of attention, personalization, and care you can bring, it's something that is beyond the scalable reality of an everyday teacher. So this is how, instead of, you can get some of the boring things away, so you can focus on getting these learnings, understanding the analytics of your users, finding out where they have been failing, so that you can double down and you can offer more direction in their courses.
Okay, so that one I definitely understood. So you got the assessment. You can put your course or your ebook or whatever it is into the AI Copilot and say, create 100 questions for me. So now you don't have to go and create all those questions and the multiple choice answers. And you can go through and check and go like, okay, was that one good? Does this make sense? Maybe some of them aren't quite right. Then once you're happy with it, you can give that assessment to your students. They can go through, do the multiple choice answers, and the AI will actually then give feedback to people and say, you got this stuff wrong over here. You need to go and check this bit of the course to kind of restudy that. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful. Okay.
And you can, and this can happen 24/7, no matter how big your audience is. That's probably something that if you had 20 students, you could afford to do that yourself. But if you have 1,000 students or 10,000 students, there's no other way to do that other than employing means like AI.
And the Socratic dialogue part that you mentioned, how did that work? What's the process someone would go through if they're using your tool for that?
This is something that you do on our ebook editor. We have, like, LearnWorlds as a platform is not just a learning management system, it's also an authoring environment. So there is an ebook editor where you can go in and you can start copy pasting your text. And within every paragraph, within every sentence, you can also start revising your text or asking the AI Copilot to rewrite the text for you and make it adapted to different contexts or to different needs. So the Socratic dialogue is, you can get like a boring piece of factual knowledge and you can convert it into a question and answer play effectively between you and your student. So it's much more interesting about that. You can, and if you don't like that as a method, you can convert it into a story, into some kind of storytelling or a different kind of narrative. And you can be very prescriptive. You can get a factual piece of knowledge and transpose it into 11th century England history. So you can have a real you can even specify which kind of characters you would like to employ. And so this is something that can give you huge amount of variability and also make it very, very interesting for your audiences. Obviously, you would like to choose something that your audience is related to. That's something that great teachers already do. The fact is, what is our capacity of doing that 24/7, in our busy schedules? Can every course be the best ever course that we want to build? I guess our capacity to create things and improvise and be innovative also is not scalable. With the help of AI, we can help you to make that scalable, because you can get that extra edge of creativity and productivity to get some things that you would be very proud of giving out to your students. So does the system does it for you? No, but you direct it. You do it alone. You have to. Some things will fail. Some iterations will not look that great. Then you can just undo, restart, and keep improvising, working with AI and getting results that will inspire you, not just your students, but will also inspire you to keep doing your very best work.
One of the things that you talked about a lot there is instructional design. Now, a lot of course creators, they're an expert in a topic, but they haven't studied instructional design. They've not become an expert in how do you best convey that information to people. They've become an expert in their audience and they've tried it a number of ways and they've improved at it, but they haven't studied this formally at all. And I've had a couple of instructional designers on the podcast. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I'd like to learn a little bit more about that, then I'm going to find an episode we did with Mariana Pena, who has done some great work in this space. And I'll give you the episode number of that. So that's episode 113 from December 7th, 2023, called Course Designers Increase Course Retention and Grow Your Vision. But could you give us some breakdown of that today. Could you explain what the concept of instructional design is for people who don't know it? And then we can kind of start to get into some of the details of how it works.
The instructional design is this directed experience that we were saying about learning. Learning is it doesn't happen by accident. It will not happen simply by consuming some content or throwing some content at students. It's like a movie. When you direct the sequences of experiences, you can create feelings, emotions, get people into the right state of learning. You can create contradictions. Learning is a struggle. It doesn't happen upon you. The students have to engage with the content, have to engage with their peers, and this is at the core of instructional design. There are numerous theories of instructional design, and it's good. Great professors, great teachers who might know their subject matter by heart. In most cases, they stumble or they use some of these instructional design methodologies instinctively, because through experience they understand what works and what not. But it always helps to have some kind of guidance and some kind of framework for employing such things. In settings where you can afford to have an instructional designer by your side, it's great. If you're a big enterprise, if you have like an L&D department, you can get a couple of people who usually work along with the subject matter expert. They have to become, to some extent, experts of the topic themselves, so they can then start using their instructional design principles to create these little sequences that might work best. And different instructional design methodologies work differently for every person. Like, it's not that we all learn the same way. We have visual learners, and we have haptic learners, and we have people who prefer to watch video, let's say, or people who just prefer to study something. This is also where AI can help you now transpose your material into different forms of media, so that people can use what is best for them, or what is best for them at that particular time, because not always you want to do the same kinds of things. So this instructional design layer, it's something that we brought within LearnWorlds. So it helps obviously to have a kind of sense that you need some kind of instructional design assistance. But within our authoring environment, within our ebook, for example, you can start getting some principle of instructional design within your courses. The example I mentioned before about assessments, for example, getting automated assessments, I mentioned the Bloom methodology. The Bloom taxonomy is effectively a way of categorizing different types of knowledge, whether it's rote memorization, all the way to understanding something, recalling something, and then understanding something, and then being able to analyze it, and then being able to apply a piece of knowledge. So this is not just create 100 different kinds of questions for me. It's create questions that have different kind of difficulty, but also address different kinds of skills for people. So that's one example where we kind of introduce an instructional design method within a tool that helps you be very, very productive, but you also understand about that. It's also the same thing can be done about a piece of knowledge. So the Socratic method is one very basic method, but you can also get different kinds of other instructional design theories to employ within your courses. So which means that there will be a different kind of introduction in the beginning, and then a different kind of presentation of the content, and then different kind of assessment of the content.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to learn more about instructional design, are there any resources that you would point them to that are kind of that beginner level? Is there stuff on your site, or is there any kind of books or courses about that you recommend?
Obviously, this is like people can study, can do whole masters or whole degrees
We want the little get started version.
What we have done, and what we are sharing on our site is a framework for using prompt engineering and instructional design, precisely implementing instructional design methodology. So this is where we are showing how you can start adapting AI to all the things that you might need as an instructional designer, from ideating about your course and how you create your content, how you evaluate your content, and all these things. So this is something that people can head over to our website. And let me just find the name for this resource. To share with your audience. I don't have it here now, but I can share to you right away. So our resource is called the 5-layer framework for instructional design. So this is this helps you. It gives you the structure. I can share the link here with you in the chat so you can share it with your audience. This framework has active hands-on applications of instructional design using AI, starting from understanding your domain, so how you can start exploring the things that you want to teach, with producing the learning activities, building the learning material, building the instructional plan, so how you sequence these different learning objects, and also different tools that you can use for productivity and creativity. So that's something that people can very easily and very hands-on, they can start implementing right away. Or by using the platform and using the LearnWorlds platform and starting to create online courses, they will be exposed, because for every for every little paragraph that they write or they copy paste, they get all these. They just right click and they get all these affordances and all these options that they can tinker with and can start creating things that are more elaborate and more guided.
Nice. Okay. So did you put that link in the chat already?
Yeah, it's called the 5 layers of AI expertise for instructional designers. So this is how you can very easily start employing instructional design methodologies in a hands-on way, and in a non-threatening or non-scary way.
Nice. All right, perfect. So what we'll do, we'll put that link in the comments or in the show notes if you're listening to us as an audio podcast, and you can download that from there. Okay, so we've covered some ways that you can use AI specifically in your platform in order to be able to create a better experience for people. And we've talked about the idea of instructional design. What's your background? I believe you said was like you got a PhD in something around education. Could you kind of talk us through a little bit about how that's kind of affected your philosophy of like what you're trying to build?
Yes, it definitely has. Like my background is I have a PhD in computer assisted assessment, so which is like one, I guess, subtopic of educational technology, is how to use effectively computerized testing. It was called back then, how to do all these online assessments and questionnaires and test people, assess their knowledge or other psychometric parameters of their behavior. So of their personality. With my 2 co-founders, we go way back. We built effectively our first learning management system back in 1999, more than 25 years ago.
Wow.
So the roots of LearnWorlds as a business are academic and scientific. This is how we started, by creating different e-learning applications, publishing papers, participating in research projects. So I think it helps us that we brought all this scientific approach to the business as well. Obviously, the business doesn't work on an academic level. It has to bring money to people. It has to be very efficient and very effective. So in many cases, we have to put the scientist on the back seat and use, bring the product that the market and the customers demand and adapt to the market needs. But we always have at the back of our mind the solid science principles and the learner experience. When we started designing what eventually became LearnWorlds back in 2011, we were very dissatisfied by the state of e-learning out there. the kind of platforms that people had at their hands, that were really undervaluing the learner experiences. Most of these LMSs back then, they wanted to make HR happy, to have all the records and to have the boss happy, but they didn't really pay any attention to what was the learner experience. So there was really a big disconnect by the quality of the digital experiences that people had in their normal lives, playing with digital, with gaming devices, and the iPhones and the iPads and everything else. E-learning seemed like in a corporate setting or in an enterprise setting seemed to be 5 or 10 years back. It was usually a very boring and underwhelming experience. And this is how we started bringing our own expertise into a platform. And I know that it will sound kind of cheesy, but we wanted to democratize education. Like only the big companies or the big universities or the big MOOCs back then had the possibility of creating e-learning, large-scale, high-quality e-learning experiences. What we wanted is to bring this experience at the hand of every course creator, so that every creator can create their own amazing Coursera, little Coursera, or their own Udemy or their own academy, and share with the world their own expertise, whatever niche they were in, to be able to create, to be in control of their own content and also be in control of their own audience. So to this day, because with my co-founders, we have similar, we were studying together and doing science together. We brought this, we bring still with us this expertise. We're probably the only major course platforms that is run by people who have PhDs in ed tech and have been using this kind of principles as lights for the way ahead.
And how much do you think, when you're building the platform, about the process of selling the courses? Is that something that you guys consider at all when you're actually building out the features and what you're kind of focused on?
Of course. I think we didn't consider it in the first couple of years. But then once we started having real customers, we understood that what you are making, like the quality of your course, is not very important unless you are able to distribute and sell your online courses. So that's one of the instances that I mentioned where we put the scientist in the back seat and we started learning aggressively from the market, like how people sell, what are the predominant business models, what are the emerging business models. Like we've seen people launching initially, that selling courses as one-off and then starting to wanting to sell bundles of courses and then going into memberships and subscriptions and recurring revenue, and they're starting adding live classes and then creating whole learning projects and learning paths and all these things. We evolved along with the market. So now we consider one of our superpowers is the extent of our customer base. Right now we have more than 12,000 customers out there. So we are learning from them very fast. From them, we are implementing our scientific method for analyzing the learnings from the market and being very, very fast in adapting to the needs that we see out there, and even anticipating and innovating in some cases and bringing in features that we want. So we couldn't have been in this place unless we were marrying in a very equitable way the scientific background of the platform with the very practical entrepreneurial approach of what is the best possible funnel that you can build, what is the best way to organize your landing pages, your checkout pages, your sales pages, so that you can also maximize revenue. Unless you have a sustainable growing business, you cannot fund your your course creation. Otherwise it would be just a hobby, just a noble endeavor. But also you have to sell. We are great at that.
Nice. And what have you learned about that? What is it that what some of the features that you've built that you found were very in demand, that people were really after and that have made a difference in sales?
The one that's something that we started doing quite early in the platform, but it remains one of the most important parts of the platform, is the customer-facing pages, whether it's the course catalog, the landing pages, the single-click checkout pages, because people now expect to have, a very easy checkout experience. We are using all the UI, UX innovations, I guess, and best practices from across the industry, so that people can have a very seamless experience when they're purchasing online, whether they do it through mobile, whether they do it through different browsers. So it's not just the content, but also the packaging of the online courses, the perception that somebody has when they visit a course catalog or a course landing page, and how easy it is for them to understand what the content is about, and to really, with just a couple of clicks, add their their credit card details or anything else, and have a fast checkout experience. This is something that is very important on the e-commerce side of things. And but also, once you start scaling, because obviously there are some course creators in your audience that might be just starting out, and there might be others who are running schools with tens or even hundreds of thousands of users. This management of such a large scale school, it's extremely important. So we are very proud, and our customers really appreciate the scalability that comes along with a LearnWorlds with a platform like LearnWorlds, where you can automate lots of things, where you can set up automations about what happens when people sign up to a course, or what happens when they complete a course, what happens when they complete a certification, what happens when they go to complete a learning path, and then you need to guide them to a different kind of experience. This part can be extremely important, because we know that some school owners, they run a platform, an academy by themselves or with a very small team, and they can use all the help they can get. So if we can become their powerhouse, their CRM, the platform that does all the logistics, all the back-end grunt work, again, we free up space for them to do the things where they're really good at, which is enhancing their personal brand, connecting with their students, becoming the best at their job, and creating the best possible content that they can. So these things, the customer-facing presentation for initially launching your school and bringing in your customers and creating their a nice self-serve commercial engine on top of your courses, but also working a lot on the back end, so that we can take all the grunt work away from creators. These have been quite, I guess, very hot things that we have developed, helping our audience base.
Wow, that's extraordinary. I love that. So if people were interested in learning more about LearnWorlds, then the website is just learnworlds.com. We've got that guide that you're very kindly linking us to, and we'll put that in the comments and the description and the show notes. So wherever you're listening to this, you can click and just access that guide. Is there anything else you want to point people to if they've been interested in what you've got to say today?
I think just visiting our website will give them a good sense of the things that we produce, and how they can get in touch with us. They can always start a free trial with LearnWorlds, no credit cards, no strings attached. Just go in and play around and see if some of the things that I've said might resonate with you, and the kind of, let's say, courses or experiences that you could create. This could be a nice challenge for people to see, to test me on the things that I'm saying, and see how, like, what things they could get out in just a few clicks out of LearnWorlds. And also, we are extremely proud about the things that we learn from our customers and how we share them with the community. So if you just go to our website and to our resources side, you will not just find this 5 layers AI framework that can make you sort of a fast track instructional designer, but lots of different playbooks, lots of different guides that either we are building in internally with our in-house experts, or best practices and tips and tricks that we learn from some of the best of the trade, obviously, that are working with LearnWorlds, and we're always happy to share with the community. So I believe right now, let's say, our academic background and the things that we have been doing in the past is far less important than the things that we are learning from our thousands of customers out there. Some of them extremely successful. It's like a master's or a PhD every other month, with all the innovation and the evolution we see out there. And we are very proud that we're able to abstract this, learn from that, and incorporate in the platform in ways that give more options to our users. Like they realize things, they find new business models that they want to test, they find new learning units, new types of media that they want to test. I believe that we have become a very effective conduit in learning from the market with sound engineering and sound instructional design, and giving options to people to create the best possible school that they can and share as much as they can. That's our objective here.
Beautiful. All right. So if you thought that sounded useful, go check it out. You can check out learnworlds.com, and obviously we'll include the link for that resource about instructional design as well. Panos, thanks so much for coming on today. Really, really appreciate your time and you sharing your wisdom.
Thanks, John. No, not much wisdom, I guess, but thanks, John, for having me. I hope that some of the things I share there will people will find inspiring, or they will give it a try.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And as always, thank you so much for listening. If you found this episode useful, make sure you subscribe so you get future episodes, and go check out that episode that I mentioned with Mariana Pena, which was episode 113 from December 7th, 2023. And there's a whole load more about instructional design in there as well. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, John.